Okay. Hopefully there's no more audio feedback or whatever it was doing. And hopefully this is going to be okay. Just going to give it a second. See if it's going to start doing some kind of audio loop again. That stinks. That means that link I sent out is no longer good. Hopefully people can find it. And if you're here, hey, appreciate you coming. So, it doesn't seem like the audio loop is happening anymore, so that is a positive. And it looks like I am actually streaming. So, okay. Okay, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. A couple people are hitting me up. All right. Gosh, that's so annoying. Okay. Dang it, I had everything like all set up, ready to go for that last stream. It was perfect, just got everything good. And then I got all my steps figured out, like all the warm-up, got the countdown nailed, figured all that out. Apparently did something wrong. So if you were in the last stream, it was basically doing a audio loop where it would record what was happening in the live stream and then replay the audio. And it just kept compounding on itself and kept getting louder and louder and louder. So anyway, here's a new stream. I'm gonna have to butter it up when I'm done to get the correct thumbnail and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, here we go. So appreciate you being here. Hopefully you have a good time. My nerves are through the roof and this definitely made it worse. So that's fantastic. All right, so to start off, so this was when I went to France and Germany in October of 2018. It was right before my really good friend Sam Epperson's wedding. He did a bachelor party with the groomsmen in Austin, Texas. So we flew to Austin, Texas. We were there for I think 4 days, and then we left Austin, Texas. I spent 1 day at home and then hopped a flight and went to France. So I think it was a layover flight. I hopped a connection from, I think, Chicago, flew out of Chicago, landed in Iceland, Reykjavik, Iceland, and then went to Paris. Landed in Paris late that night and was trying to walk around. But let me see if I can get my screen sharing to work. Boom. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So this is me in the Reykjavik airport in Iceland, completely sunburnt. All four of us just got absolutely fried. It was super painful and uncomfortable, but made for a memorable trip. Fun bachelor party. Fun fact, after I got back from France, 2 days later I was in the wedding party. So that whole 2-week period was just absolutely cram-packed. But good times. Anyway, so this is me at the airport. Is that showing up? Yeah, okay, good. And then, I'm not sure, so this is a video. As soon as I got to Paris, I was on a subway, and these guys just hopped on the subway and then pumped the audio through the subway overhead speakers, and they just started doing this freestyle, like, rap, and it was really good. Didn't have any euros on me at the time because I just arrived, but they were like asking for donations or whatnot, and it was like, if I had money, I'd give it to you because that was really good. But anyway, I guess it's just a still of the video. It's not actually going to play the video, which is okay because I'm not sure if it would get copyright strike or whatnot due to YouTube's wonderful music policy. But sorry. Anyway, so that happened. I was chatting with some gentlemen just off camera to the left, and a friend of mine told me, if you ever go overseas, just tell everybody you're from Canada because everybody hates Americans. So this guy was asking me where I was from because I was struggling with my French, and is like, I'm from Canada, of course. And he's like, oh, what part? And my brain just immediately froze, and I forgot. It's like, okay, everywhere in France speaks English except for this one place that speaks French, and I gotta not say that place. And I couldn't remember any of the locations in France. So I was like, Quebec. And he's like, you're from Quebec and you don't speak any French. It's like, dang it, that was the one I wasn't supposed to say. Yeah! Huh. And he gave him this like super doubtful look. It's like, okay, moving forward, I'm just gonna say I'm American. So apparently it'll look and come off as super American anyway, so it's fine, roll with it. But anyway, these guys are pretty cool. So in Paris, went to an Airbnb. It was this like super high up building, just crammed in. I didn't get a picture of the outside of it, which was kind of a bummer, but the entrance, I'm not sure if you can see it, but the big black hole in the middle of the stairwell. I'm pointing at my screen as if you can see what I'm pointing at, but clearly can't. Anyway, the big black hole in the middle. That is like the first or second floor, and as you're walking up the spiral staircase to go to the top, the lights will turn on as you're going up and then shut off as you're leaving. It's kind of trippy. But anyway, it was like super high up, and it was kind of exhausting. But got up in there, and it was a little tiny efficiency. But that night I went out to dinner, had it was a duck steak, and it was really good. Did I get a picture? Yeah, there we go. Had duck steak. Oh yeah. Yeah. So it was one of my top bucket list items to have French wine in France, and I had it that night, and I was sitting at the table next to a couple of Americans to my right. There was a couple that were Americans, and we got to talking, asked them about the menu. They said the duck is amazing. It's like, cool, I'm gonna have to try that. So got the duck, and the duck was super good, like super duper duper good. Legitimately one of the best things I've eaten in my life. That orange thing is, I'm pretty sure it was mashed potatoes, but it was like sweet potato mashed potatoes, and it was super good. So Seth, I just like a comment. It was fun stream, right? It's super loud and obnoxious. Anyway, so afterwards, there was another pair of people sitting to the left of me, totes off camera. Actually, that's their hand right there that I'm using my cursor to point at, and I don't know if you can see that in the stream or not, but whatever. Anyway, so it was this longtime friend that had been reconnecting for the first time in like 5 years. One of them moved to, I believe it was Canada, and then the other one still lived in Paris. And we just got to chatting, and they were talking about how people in France were famously rude, and about 5 to 10 years ago, well, prior to this anyway, they made a specific point to stop being rude, like as a nation. They were like, okay, we need to start being kind and friendly and polite to others, and in my experience, that held true. Almost everyone I talked to in Paris, Soissons, like everywhere I was at in France, almost everybody was super kind, like really, really nice and polite. But anyway, so we got to chatting, and they commented on my accent, and it was terrible, which was kind of crushing because I always thought I had a Parisian accent, according to a French Canadian I talked to at a swimming pool in like 2008. But anyway, that was dinner, and then left dinner, hung up by the Eiffel Tower. That was the only thing I actually went out to see that night. I was sitting out there on a bench, and there were all these rats everywhere, like giant rats. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but every rat was about yay big. Picture like a wiener dog. A wiener dog with a really big tail. That was the size of these rats, and they were everywhere. I mean, absolutely everywhere. But that was kind of trippy seeing that. I wasn't used to, seeing RUSs in real life. But anyway, so and then there's this little tidbit Ferris wheel, and all these people were just walking around trying to sell you everything, like champagne, snacks, cocaine, and very, very persistent about it too. They just would not leave me alone. Like, oh, better price. I give you a better price. And then just kept coming down. It's like, no, dude, like back up. And I started having to get like hostile with them. Like, dude, get up out of my space. So, and then as soon as they left, another guy came up and saw like another dude talking to me, and it's like, oh, I can give you a better price than him. It's like, oh my gosh. So do not recommend hanging out at the Eiffel Tower at night. Looks really cool. I never knew this, but so this is a video, but it actually sparkles and lights up, and all these lights are cascading all up and down. It looks like a firework that's just continuously going off. Super cool. Not continuously. It comes on once, I think, every 10 minutes. And it stays on for like a minute, I believe. But anyway, so there are intervals where it will pop on and just like do its flicker light thing. It's kind of cool. Anyway. Oh yeah, so somewhere on the street is the Airbnb. By the way, forgot to mention, as soon as I got off the subway to look for the Airbnb, I was horrifically lost. And I was trying to ask for directions, and I learned that French word for Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi. So if you go to France, ask them where the Wi-Fi is, just say Wi-Fi, and they know what you're talking about. But anyway, so cool Parisian street at night. I thought the sky was kind of cool. I'm not sure if that shows up very well in the stream or not. But this was the main intersection next to where I was heading. So the next morning, I got up and went to go see the big church in Paris that burnt down, Notre Dame, Cathedral Notre Dame. So I went to go see that. That was literally the only building I went inside of the whole time I was in France, or in Paris. But anyway, this is the intersection right outside of it, and there's like road construction everywhere. But I thought the buildings look cool, minus the random green graffiti on top of that one house. I'm pointing at it like you can see what I'm pointing at, but top right hand corner. I don't know if you can see it on the stream or not. But anyway, there's some really cool old buildings around the intersection. Yeah, here we go. So standing on top of this canal bridge, there we go. And everywhere I was looking, there's just all these super old buildings that look like they were built in the Victorian era. And then on the other side, 180 from that last photo is the Cathedral Notre Dame. And decided to walk around a little bit, saw some cool stuff. Fun fact, Charlemagne, or Charles I, Charles the Great, all the same guy. He's my all-time favorite secular historical figure, and they had a statue of him, and I thought that was super cool. So had to get a photo of that. And I cannot express enough the level of detail that went into this cathedral. Like every piece of this cathedral was a piece of artwork. Like all of these little details and fine bits, just everywhere. So I tried to get as much as I could, but it looks super cool. I was trying to do the best I could with my little iPhone 4S, I think is what I was using at the time. Oh yeah, so the pictures aren't great. All of it was done with an iPhone 4, so. So the interior was kind of trippy. So there were no light bulbs. So everything was candle lit. At least I think those are candles. The lighting was dim. The lighting was really, really dim. It was mostly natural light and candles. Just behind where this photo was taken, there was like a bunch of candles set up where you could do like I think it was a €1 or €2 donation, and then, just a bunch of candles sitting there. So you can take a candle and light it, say a prayer. They ask for a $2 donation for a candle. Obviously, it's not enforced, it's a donation. But anyway, it's kind of neat. On either side, going around each side of the hallway, there were dirt floors, which tripped me out a little bit because it's like this immensely, hugely famous, super old church in the heart of Paris, and it's got dirt floors. They may as well have been stone because those suckers were beat down so tight. It was like walking on rocks. So the lighting in this photo is like not great, and it's a better show of how dim it was in here, and everything was like natural lighting. Actually there's some walls, some paneling that clearly have little baby lights like shooting down on top of them in the left-hand side of the photo. Pretty sure those are lights, not candles. Unless if they're upside down candles that are somehow magically burning. You never know. Oh, yeah, this is the organ. The organ was absolutely massive. The other side, I think, is where the actual piano, it's, you know, with the keys and all that. That's on the other end. Oh, apparently I didn't take a photo of it. So this was the car I rented. It was a Renault. I had several different options, lots of Toyotas and whatnot. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be in France, I want the total French experience. So give me a French car. So this is the newest car they had. And it was also barely ever driven. So that's 567 kilometers were ever put onto this thing. In freedom units, that's like 280 miles. So 280 miles, that's it. Also, when I went to leave the parking garage, they had like the little arm thing, like, oh, you can't get out unless you pay, whatnot. That thing wouldn't let me leave because it wanted me to pay, which was obviously not right. I just rented this car. And it wanted me to pay for, I think, 10,000 hours because that's how long this car was sitting there. So apparently this is like not a popular choice. Nobody wants to rent the Renault. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fun little car. It was a manual, 5-speed manual. By the way, highly recommend if you go to France, definitely rent a car and get out of Paris immediately after getting the car. Do not drive around in Paris. It was absolutely terrifying. Once you're in the countryside and outside of Paris, super cool. Absolutely a joy to ride, especially if you're in a manual because you can like have fun with the hills and the curves with the manual, and it's good stuff. But this was a video, I'm pretty sure. So I'm pretty sure this is a video. I was just trying to check out the French countryside because there's lots of cool like green bits on the ground that look different than grass, and I thought that was cool. And there's these big, tall, green shooty things coming up out of the ground that were also pretty cool. But they're weird. They're trees. The trees are weird. They're like just, it's just a column. They don't really have, actually they do have branches, but they all just go like this. Same direction as the trunk, base, stalk, trunk. But anyway, yeah, so pretty cool. Thought I'd take a video of that while riding around. This is another video. I was trying to catch some French radio and get another lay of the countryside. Another short little video, listen to music. I think the song from Ratatouille came on right here. No, Fallout 4. Pretty sure. So there's a song from Fallout 4 that came on, and I thought that was super cool. So I had to record it while I was driving. This was me cutting through a village, driving a manual while holding up my camera, steering with the back of my wrist, trying to videotape these super narrow roads. So in France, they build their houses on the road. Like there's no sidewalk, there's no shoulder, it's just street, house, like wall. You got like 4 to 6 inches. That's it. So you step out the front door, you're gonna like get blasted with a car. I don't get it. Their doors must turn inward, obviously, to keep that from happening. But yeah, there's like no room. Those two cars, so the road like curves in and then runs up along the side of the houses, and those two cars are parked like in that curve. But pretty sure there's another video. Oh yeah, right before this was an amazing shot. I was going up a hill and it's like, oh, this is perfect. Tried to get my camera out in time, failed. So it just pictures some bushes. You don't get anything cool beyond it. That was me trying to get a picture of the sunset while I was driving. iPhone 4 didn't turn out great. Oh, yes, so this was a bucket list item. I got to eat escargot for the first time ever, and they were delicious. Oh, my Airbnb. So I rented this Airbnb, and I discovered that, in the process of trying to find this place, I discovered that Airbnbs, actually not just Airbnbs, just buildings in general, when they build them, they're built in the order, they're numbered in the order that they were built. So if you're on a street, and you're the first house built, here is a street name or number 1 street name. If you're the second house built, wherever it's at on the street, this could be like a 15-mile long road. Your house number 2, it's like way the heck over there. And then somebody builds the third house, it could be back close to this other one. So their numbering system is jacked. But the GPS, I used a sat nav in the Renault, and it was garbage. It could not find the location. It didn't exist. I had to pull over in some guy's house, or in front of his house, try to figure out my bearings. He came out, tried to ask what I was doing. I assume he spoke French, no English, so I tried to speak French to him, ask him where the heck is this location. He didn't understand me, I didn't understand him. We played a game of charades, and then he figured out I was trying to get to the Airbnb, which was hidden behind a gate inside of a tight alley that was a one-way. I thought it was like a trash disposal thing. I didn't know that was the road to get to my Airbnb. So anyway, she told me not to go to this one restaurant because it's super pricey. The other restaurants in the area are really good. I got lost. Pretty sure I wound up at the pricey one because this place was expensive. But anyway, it was super good escargot. They've seasoned it really. I know it's apparently tastes like nothing except whatever you season it with. But I thought it was really good. It was genuinely amazing. I wasn't quite hungry. I didn't think I was going to get full off of that, so I got the seafood platter, which was basically one of everything that lives in the ocean, and I ate it. So while I was eating this, I was like, there's no way that's going to fill me. These are like teensy tiny baby portions of food. So I got some cheese. Oh, this is the next morning. So I got a platter of cheese, and by the time they brought the cheese out for me to eat, I was stuffed, like unbelievably full. It was crazy. I could not eat anymore, and it made zero sense. Like I ate like a third. I ate a third of what I normally would in America, but was twice as stuffed from the same amount of food. So I know that looks like not much because it's not much. So I don't know what they do to their food, or rather what we do to our food, but our food is significantly less filling than their food. Their food tastes way better and fills you up with hardly the same amount. So anyway, so I got this cheese, and I was looking at it like I'm not gonna eat this. It was a cheese platter. It stank. It smelled like dirty, sweaty gym socks and gross feet. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna eat this later. So I'm gonna take it to go. And he was like, no. So I got my little Google Translator. It's like to go box. And he's like, no. So apparently they don't believe in food to go. So they don't do to-go boxes or whatever. It's like, okay, can I get some extra napkins? He's like, yes, but you cannot take with you. It's like, okay, got it. So got the napkin, arranged my cheese, and wrapped it up, stuck it in my pocket, and walked out. So I paid them. They were expensive, but I paid them. But anyway, so yeah, I had to like sneak my leftovers out, which is a really good thing because I'll get to that later. So anyway, next morning, the Airbnb offered a quintessential French breakfast. And she asked me if I wanted an egg because she could tell I'm clearly American. And I was like, yeah, I'll do an egg. That's weird not to have an egg with breakfast. So anyway, that was a special thing just for me, the egg was. But it was like 4 different kinds of bread, croissant, some kind of rye bread, some kind of like cinnamon bread, and 2 other things. So I guess that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's like 5 different breads there. And then it had some jam that she made. She created her own preserves. Oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention. Every house in this village was built from the materials that were on the land. Every house was a stone house with mortar. Man, I wish I'd taken a picture of the Airbnb, the exterior. That would have been so cool. But anyway, all the houses were built out of rocks that were found in the area. And they created their own mortar to put them together. They used trees from the surrounding area to furnish the wood interior, make the floors, the interior walls, all that kind of stuff. And it looked so good. Super good. But anyway, this breakfast didn't seem like much. It was milk, tea, yogurt. I took the yogurt to go that's in the back of the photo. It's 2 cups of yogurt, which I am very glad that I did. But yeah, this little bit like absolutely stuffed me to the gills. I saved the yogurt for later along with the cheese and had that for dinner later on. Actually, this night. It was later this evening. So I went driving around and found Man, I really wish I would have taken more exterior photos. So I found this World War II memorial where this guy would just collect post-war artifacts that were just laying around his property. And just over the years, just started collecting more and more of these, and then just set them up in his place. Then after a while, he built a museum, and it was super cool. But he's got all this different stuff. Sherman tanks. These are landing boats that stormed the beaches of, not Iwo Jima, the one in D-Day, Omaha Beach, Normandy Beach, Omaha Beach. But anyway, so that's one of those personnel boats. This is a half-track. Pretty sure it's German. Oh, actually, I think it's got a little German symbol. Yep, show enough. There's a little German symbol, which I'm not going to point out because YouTube might ban this video if they see that symbol. So this is the exterior. Okay, I did get photos. So the one on the right, I'm pretty sure is a Tiger tank, which was Germany's tank in World War II. The one on the left is one of the Sherman tanks. There are 3 different variants that were deployed overseas. I think this is the second one. So this was probably one of the cooler parts. So after I left the museum, I was looking for Omaha Beach, but you know, it's a big giant pile of dirt and sand that butts up to this big pile of water, so I couldn't like pin it exactly. So I just picked a direction that I knew was like, okay, it's gotta be that way somewhere. So I just started driving that way. And eventually I got there and it was actually pretty close. It's pretty close. The area that I wanted to check out was about 1 kilometer or 0.6 miles further down the beach. And I met this random couple just hanging out on the beach with their kids. Did my best with butchered French to try to figure out how to, like, hey, how do I get to the place I'm trying to get to? That's when they told me, oh, it's 1 kilometer. And they said east or west, I forget which direction. But yeah, so I went the wrong direction and confused kilometers for miles and walked what I felt like was a mile when it was supposed to be 0.6 of a mile. And the beach eventually ended. Like, the beach came to a rock, sheer cliffside, and I knew that probably wasn't right. So I probably need to turn around and go the other way. And at that moment, I climbed up just to see if I was wrong. So climbed up this rock face, not straight up. I went around, like in the dirt part where it's more sloped. Went to the edge and looked out. And it's like, yep, that's just a rock wall. So I peed off of that into the ocean. That was cool. One of the perks of being a guy, the world's your toilet. And I started heading back, and right then it started raining, and I was wearing jeans and a light zip-up sweater and a t-shirt, and it was 50, 55 degrees, and now drizzling. So on the way back, I saw, oh, this is me on my way to getting lost. If you can see where the photo gets really, really fuzzy, way off in the distance, that's where I stopped and had to turn around. But all the slopey bits, that's just stuff that I walked past that was neat, just people's houses. One of the cool things was I have heard of people taking the old pill bunkers from World War II that was part of the Atlantic Wall, and after the war, they just like converted it into their own personal shed. This photo was an example of that. So this is just some guy's backyard, and he just had this pillbox as a shed. And yeah. Oh, this is further down the beach. So turn around, walk the other way, and came across this. The photos might be out of order. That's why this is coming up. Oh, yeah. So here is one of, I think, 2 or 3 obelisks that I found. So this was part of the beachhead. This might have been, I don't know, this maybe Juneau beachhead? Not sure. Think it's Omaha, but I'm not sure. There were 3 fronts that the Americans were pushing up. The center and most painful one was Omaha Beach, and that's later. So this, I think, was one of the other beachheads. But at this point, it started like really raining. Like it was pouring at this point. And I was soaked, but it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna check this out. Just suck it up and walk around and look at all these holes in the ground because that's neat. So I couldn't get a good photo of this, but there's actually a stairwell going down into this tunnel. And on the other side, so it goes down, goes to like an underground bunker, and then it pops out the other side. Top of the photo, you can kind of see it a little bit, but there's the exit. Okay, so I wish I got a photo of this, the 180 of this particular shot. So the whole time I was walking around in the rain, I was looking for the American Cemetery, which if you've ever seen Saving Private Ryan, the beginning of the movie that shows like the older Tom Hanks or whatever is in a cemetery. This is that cemetery. I always thought it was Arlington Cemetery, DC, but it's not. So it's this other cemetery in France that the French government pays, I think like 100,000 euros every year just to maintain this cemetery. So it's meticulously, like the lawn's cut, everything is like super polished. And when I got into the museum, oh, this is funny story. So as I'm showing up to this museum, oh no, back up a little bit before that. I left that obelisk. So the last photo, let me back up. So I left this obelisk. There are these hills all over the place. That's where I was finding those bunkers. Like, okay, these are kind of cool. Finally walked back up, found the road. By the way, I was completely lost. I have no clue where I parked my car at this point. So anyway, I found the road. I was walking along the road, hoping it's the right direction, and I am freezing because it's 50 degrees. I am completely soaked, like absolutely soaked all the way through, shivering violently. And there's this car that was driving by. It's just this guy and his wife and his 2 kids. And I like, hey, like knocked on the window. I was like, je suis froid. Mi travailler une voiture to American Cemetery. And they spoke no English. I spoke hardly any French, and it was super awkward. They kind of pieced together that I wanted to get in their car, so I kind of like deboed my way into the back seat. These 2 kids were looking at me like all terrified and whatnot, and the wife's looking back at me like all terrified and whatnot. And the guy's like, "Where are you trying to go?" It's like, if you can get me to the cemetery. So cemetery, and I think I pulled it up on my phone, typed in cemetery, the French translation, and I said whatever that word is, and then yeah, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, not Celsius. So I was not frozen. I think 50 degrees Celsius is actually, I think it's fairly comparable, Celsius and Fahrenheit, once you hit 50 degrees. Anyway, pretty close. But yeah, super cold. Anyway, I was creating this giant mud puddle in the back seat. They were taking me down the road. I was like, you know what, this is good, thank you, merci beaucoup. So I hopped out, they drove off, and I was heading towards what looked like it was probably the cemetery wall entrance. And as I was walking, there was this tiny little box truck, and this dude pulls up, and he says something to me in French. He rolls down the window, like leans over, rolls down the window, says something to me in French, is like, oh crap, what did I say? I said I'm sorry in French. That phrase is eluding me at the moment. But anyways, I said sorry, don't speak French. And it's like, oh, you look for a cemetery. He's like, yes. Like, come in, hop in. So he starts puffing on the cigarette, pops the door open, is like, thank you so much, really appreciate it. Although I'm like right here, so I don't have far to go. So I hop in, he drives me about 150 feet. It was nice, really super cool gesture, but just another example of like, French people are just super cool, just super nice. But he looked like he probably worked in pest control or something. I don't know. If he was working out of Paris, he made great money. If you were earlier in the stream and caught the rats. But anyway, so he takes me to the cemetery, and that's when walking through the parking lot, I walk up to the security officer, completely drenched, and he looks at me and he says in English, yeah, do you have anything in your pockets? And I looked at him like, how do you know spoke English? And he just was like, I can just tell. So it was funny. So go in, do a security check, and I'm trying to pull my euros, which I have a bunch of bills and coins in my pocket. And my pocket is wet and it's soaked to my fist, and I can't get my fist out to get my money. And I'm like getting frustrated because like, oh my gosh, I gotta get my car keys out and my wallet and my coins, and I can't get any of it out, and I'm like, I'm struggling with it, trying to get these metal bits out. And they're like, it's fine, it's okay, you can just go on through, it's fine. So apparently look harmless to foreign security, so that's neat. Anyway, so I went in, and this part really got to me. So went in, and there's a couple, I think like 5 or 6, it was like a little miniature wall thing, and on either side of the wall they had a couple artifacts and story behind it, whatever it was. One example was there's a Colt 1911 that an American GI used while he was storming the beach of Normandy, and it was the story of his life and how he passed, and the family donated the pistol. But anyway, there's a staircase going down into the lower part of basically the museum that leads into the cemetery. So in this section, there was a glass case, and inside the glass case was this M1 Garand with with an army helmet on it. And it was just in honor of all the American troops that had fallen. And everywhere around, so if you did like a 180 from where this photo was taken, there's like a horseshoe of all these memorial plaques of all these people. I think it was like a dozen, give or take, give or plus or minus like two, different individuals that had won the Congressional Medal of Honor, most of which were posthumous. So it was the story of how they earned the medal and how they died. And I got super choked up. I was like walking through, reading this, like trying not to cry. And all these people, clearly, like, I wouldn't say clearly, but most likely French families. So all these French families were walking in and they saw me clearly struggling to hold my stuff together. And they gave me like this wide berth. They were like super respectful, like super, super nice, super nice. And there's just another example of like the French people are very, very grateful to Americans and what they did, what we did and how we bailed them out. And there's actually a lot of history behind that and why that is so relevant, especially given European history and what we did for them and basically how we asked nothing of them, which is absolutely unheard of. So that's why, in honor of that, they maintain the cemetery. They also sent a boat. Probably not going to do a live stream on this one, but I went to San Francisco. They maintained a cruise ship that was basically a supply line that ran between Britain and the front line, Normandy, the Normandy defense. And there's only 3 left in existence. I think only one's functional, and it's in San Francisco. And at the bottom of this, in the hull of this cargo ship, the French government had created several tens of thousands of dollars worth of this model that was basically a mock of the D-Day invasion of Normandy on Omaha Beach. And it was absolutely massive. I mean, it was probably like 10 feet wide by like 15 feet deep and just full of all these little miniatures. That was donated by the French government to America as a thank you. So let it be known that the French do respect and appreciate Americans for bailing them out in World War II. I consistently kept seeing instances of this. Anyway, so this was a big deal. I walked past this glass encasement and outside into the cemetery, and this is where I really got choked up. So in the cemetery, if you stand in the middle of it, which I did, there's this rotunda, basically a dome. There's a dome in the center of it, and you can walk inside the dome and look up and see all the different dates. I think I don't remember. I don't remember what was inside the rotunda. Anyway, had a bunch of writing scribble bits all over it that were super important and super relevant. So anyway, if you stood at that rotunda and looked around in a 360 field of view, everywhere you looked, as far as the eye could see, were headstones of American soldiers, almost all of which died within 3 months of each other. And that was super sobering. Looks like I only got the one photo. I thought I took more of that. That's kind of disappointing. But anyway, yeah, you could walk around. There are a couple other spots. I didn't feel like taking pictures of it, but there's this huge like wall. This is a massive wall that had a bunch of engravings and I think a list of everyone, of all the Americans, a list of all the Americans who gave their life in World War II. So there's basically this big memorial to them. There's a big like statue of an eagle with the American flag. Just super, super like over the top respectful. Very, very classy. And there's a couple of tour guides walking around talking in French. So there are French families that were there visiting, getting educated about all this kind of stuff. So that was super cool. The next day? No, it was later this day. I forgot. I pushed hard. This day. This is a long day. So the next day I went to Pointe du Hoc. So Pointe du Hoc is, oh wait, no. Yeah, my photos are all mixed up. No, this is not Pointe du Hoc. Okay, so this is earlier before I made it to the cemetery. I might have photos in there. They're just mixed up. Okay, so this was one of the other pill bunkers that was along the beach side, facing the Omaha portion of the Normandy invasion. So I got to go inside a couple of them and see what they look like. Super neat. This is actually my desktop wallpaper for my work laptop. So this was a memorial to all the combat medics that served during the D-Day invasion. But this was just this massive concrete rock in the middle of this wide open beachhead. And it was this wide open beachhead, which is where all the American GIs were rushing up and just getting lit up by MG42s. So, and I actually, I saw this older couple talking with a tour guide as they were walking up to this rock, and I got to pick his brain for a little bit, and I felt really bad about it because clearly they had paid him to be their tour guide, and I kind of like hijacked him for a little bit. I pointed that out. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, you paid for this tour guide, and I'm like asking him all these questions. So they didn't care. There was no big deal, but I just felt like this kind of rude. Also, I was violently shaking because I was freezing to death at this point. But thankfully, it stopped raining enough to get this like really cool, clear photo. Also, I walked a little bit down the beach and got a little ibuprofen bottle full of sand. That was a bucket list item of mine. When I was watching Saving Private Ryan, there was a scene where this guy had canisters of dirt that he packed in near it was right after the invasion section of the movie. And ever since I saw that part, it's like, I need to get some sand of Omaha Beach. So I did, and I've got it in this little tiny glass vial, sand from this beach. Super cool. Anyway, this is the only bunker, the only pillbox. Gosh, that is horribly light-washed. I couldn't get a picture of the outside and the inside, so either the inside was pitch black, or I could see what was inside, which I cared more about, and the outside was just flush white. So, sorry, it was an iPhone 4. Best I got to work with. But anyway, that was one of the only guns remaining in any of the pillboxes anywhere along the Atlantic Wall. And there's the other side of it with obviously the barrel popping out. If you want to, you can pause the video and try to read that. I'm not sure if you can read it in the live stream or not, but have fun. So I found there's like a ramp, concrete ramp going down into the beach, but if you're going up the ramp from the beach, ended at this particular pill bunker. Thought that was kind of neat, so I took a picture of it. And there were people like parked cars walking around, had their dogs with them too. So this, I didn't realize it, but this photo, where it's placed and the angle and everything, is identical. It's nearly identical to a historical photo that was taken. So as soon as the D-Day invasion had concluded, the beachhead was taken. A photographer turned around and took a snapshot of all of the sea troop carriers that had been deployed and dumped the walls where the troops had come up. All those were deployed. The Sherman tanks were hitting the beach, coming up the beach, and they took the photo from almost this exact same spot. So you can take this photo and that photo and put them side by side, and the angle and everything's almost exactly there. Also, the rainbow photo bombed me. So that was coincidental. I wasn't taking a picture of the photo. I was taking a picture of the actual, the primary focal point of Omaha Beach invasion. So this was the hottest of the hot spots. Yeah, this is really cool. So if you're into history and World War II stuff, this is super cool. I believe, yeah, okay, so now we're getting into, okay, so I left the cemetery and went to Point du Hoc. If you've played Call of Duty World War II, I believe, the newest World War II game. No, not the newest. Never played the newest one. It was one before that. There was a map on there that was Point du Hoc. So if you're thinking Point du Hoc and you're picturing that map, way wrong. Not even close. Way, way, way different. So this was basically just this big open field on top of a cliff, and there were just these gigantic craters carved out of the earth everywhere, all over the place. So the story behind Point du Hoc was there were a group of, it was actually Riley's Rangers. So Riley's Rangers took this beachhead. It was by far the most difficult point of the entire Normandy invasion. So they had to fire these black powdered grappling hooks. So they fired these from their boats. Basically, I don't know what you call it. It's basically a rowboat that had a rear outbound motor. A little prop that you hang out in the back. Anyway, they're riding up, and then in the center of this boat, there are these, basically just a metal plate with a tube sticking out at an angle about, 70 degrees, 75 degrees. and then just had this four-pronged metal hook, and they shot with gunpowder this hook out and up onto the cliffside, hoped that it hooked into the cliff. Oh, and everywhere around this thing were all the Rangers waiting to scale up this vertical cliff, hoping that these hooks held on. And once they got to the top, the Germans were like, "Hey, welcome to France. Thank you for coming." No, they were like shooting at them. So the American Rangers, Riley's Rangers, had to climb up and shoulder their the Thompsons, the Tommy guns, basically. But it was a straight magazine instead of the drum mag. So had to get up there, shoulder their Thompsons, and then shoot, and then rush up, try to find cover, get their rifles out, or reload, whatever they had to do. But all of it was basically just this huge area, this focal point. It was basically like a peninsula that went out into the ocean and had all these heavy artillery bunkers all around it. Before the Riley's Rangers got there, the Navy had bombarded this particular peninsula, so all the battleships just had this massive rain of heavy artillery come down. And I was basically walking around this giant land of craters where all these Rangers had scaled this cliff area. But this was probably the most intact, and it was also the frontmost pillbox that was there. So that was pretty neat getting to see that one. Everything was all gated off, so I couldn't get into it. But this was one of the beachhead areas where the Rangers showed up. It looks like it slopes down, but it does not. That is like a 30-foot straight drop. See where there's like the wire fence, the grass. On the other side of that little hump of green grass, just straight 30-foot cliff face of just drop. So the Rangers had to row in during high tide because they were getting beached at those rocks. And yeah, fired up, hoisted themselves up there. I don't know who this guy was, but I took a picture of him before he ran through the crater, and I used him as scale. But yeah, as you can see, like everywhere you look, there's just massive freaking craters and busted up pillboxes. So I tried to get inside of one of them, and it was super tight, so I couldn't get a good picture of what it looked like on the inside because, you know, standing there with the camera, there's a body in the way, and you can't get a good photo. But anyway, there's my shadow. I was trying to play with the light, but so the sea is on the other side of the wall, so this is the area where the German soldiers would run out and try to get protection while running from bunker to bunker. However, I'm not sure if it's the next photo. No, I think that's it. Womp womp. Okay, yeah, so there is a photo of a pill bunker that clearly received a direct hit, and it was just absolutely obliterated. So it's like a portion of a pillbox and then massive crater with all this concrete and rubble inside of it. So, I mean, the pillboxes were basically placebo. Or not a placebo, a security blanket. But anyway, one of my other bucket list items, if you've ever seen Pulp Fiction, the beginning of the movie, it's got Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta who play those two guys. I forget. But they're talking, it's like, you know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in France? And Jules, I think Jules, Samuel L. Jackson's like, no, I don't know what to call it. It's like, yeah, because, you know, they don't have the metrics, or they got the metric system. They don't know what the heck a quarter pound is. They call it a Royale with cheese. So I went to McDonald's just so that I could order a Royale with cheese. There it is. Had to get a photo of it for picture proof. It was gross. The bun was super stale. But I did get to walk up to the counter and say, "Je voudrais le Royale with cheese." And the guy behind the counter, just a young kid, probably like 16, 17, just busted out laughing because he understood the reference. It's like, oh, that's pretty funny. So anyway. Also they have these like massive kiosks where you can just take your order at the kiosk, or you can do the counter. I picked the counter because I needed to say the line. I didn't care about the food. The food was gross. It was legitimately either the worst or second worst thing I ate in France. I had some fries that were pretty gross. So you think French fries would be good, but no, the Americans perfected the French fry. The French fries are nasty. But that was another list item, was to, you know, eat some French fries. That's a different photo. Anyway, yeah, so can I rotate this guy? Woot! Finally rotated that after several years. So anyway, so this is the only time I ever saw this, but this traffic light, the pole lit up red with the red light, and it turned green when the light turned green. I thought that was super cool. So I tried to like whip out my phone, zoom in, do a snapshot. So it's super grainy. Sorry about that. But anyway, this is cool. And in the same town, so this is like a border town. So I was leaving. Oh, so Pointe du Hoc, they closed at 5 o'clock. So I hopped in my voiture and started hustling for Augsburg, Germany. So Normandy is in the northwest corner of France, and Augsburg, Germany is in the southeast corner of Germany. So I had to drive diagonally across both countries. And considering how strongly they fought over their border, I expected kind of a more of like, ha, you're in Germany. There's none of that. It was very uneventful. Like not even a little blip, like, or a line on my sat nav. It was just like, I'm driving, I'm listening to French radio, it gets staticky, I change stations, and then suddenly they're speaking German. That was my only indication I went from France to Germany. I expected it to be more of a big deal, but it wasn't. Anyway, this particular town was like this border town between France and Germany, and I could get both French and German radio stations in this town. And I think there were German and French signs everywhere. But the town was super cool. It was a super, super cool place. And if we could ever find it and go back, I definitely want to visit this town instead of just driving through it. I don't know if I got... Yeah, oh yeah! So a lot of the buildings look like this building right here. So it was just super cool looking place. Like just really neat, like very French-German hybrid architecture. Super cool. And then they had like these really cool street layouts. Like it's very mountainous. So it had to be somewhere, is it the Andes? Are the Andes the mountains between France and Germany? No. Wait, France is on the other side. So in 1000 AD, Lorraine was part of Germany, or former Germany, and then France was squished back a little bit. Random history fact. Anyway, there's a mountain chain in France, and so I think this village is on that mountain chain, or inside that mountain chain. Super cool place. Anyway, so I took this photo because I discovered that in Europe, everything closes at 9 p.m., including hostels? Anyway, motels. European motels. Whatever those are called. Hostel. It's called a hostel. So every hotel, hostel, everything closes 9 p.m. So I drove a long time looking for a place to sleep, and I could not find one. So I finally found this one sliver of road. Oh, the whole way was just like 2-lane roads, no streetlights anywhere, 0 streetlights. The only illumination you have is what your car can provide. That's it. So anyway, I found this one spot where there's a pull-off on either side of the road and a whole bunch of lorries, which is what the British call box trucks. Straight trucks? Those guys. So all these like box trucks or lorries were pulled off to the side where it looked like people were sleeping. And this is like 2, 3 in the morning, somewhere in there, French time. And I pulled off and slept on the hardest freaking back seat with a backstabbing seatbelt buckle all up in my kidneys the whole night. And it was miserable. But the other thing is I discovered that there was no food either. So I ate lunch, which was at Royale with cheese. I had the French breakfast at the Airbnb with the egg and the yogurt and the bread and all that kind of stuff. And then lunch, which was the Royale with cheese. And then all I had left, and I was starving, all I had left was that wrapped up cheese that I had and the 2 yogurts from breakfast. So I ate all of that, and my car stank so bad from that cheese. It was disgusting, absolutely disgusting. But I was super appreciative to have it, and it was super filling. Like just that little bit of cheese and yogurt, like I was full. So that was kind of cool. But anyway, had a miserable night trying to sleep. It sucked because I only had like the one sweater, which was drenched from the day before, 1 pair of jeans, which I was wearing, backup pair of jeans, and like 2 t-shirts. So I was trying my best to keep warm with 2 t-shirts. One of those 2 t-shirts had to be a pillow, and then my sweater, which was cold and wet. So that's what I was trying to sleep with. But anyway, that was my hotel for that night. And then the next morning, I got up and continued my journey. This is the Black Forest. You would think, like, oh, the epic, legendary Black Forest in Germany. Super cool. It's Appalachia. If you've driven through Kentucky, you've seen the Black Forest. That's pretty much what it looks like. But anyway, neat shot. I figured I needed to get one of that before I arrived in Augsburg. So this is downtown Augsburg, Germany. Super, super neat place. Everything is like very, I guess, traditional, like very traditional, old style German architecture. How long has the stream been going for? I don't know. I just realized I should probably look. How do I know? How do I know how long the stream's been going on for? Is there an indicator somewhere? I don't want to hold you guys up too much. Do you guys know? Is there a little, like a bloop 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 number somewhere that tells you? I don't keep it too long. That's all I care about. Somebody shoot me a chat thing. Let me know. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, so this is the town center of Augsburg. They have a bus system that goes through it. And, oh, yeah, I had to buy a King Domino. So German version of King Domino is super cool. It's way better than the American version because it has this like neat little tower that you assemble and you can pull the pieces out. The rules are in German, so that's not great. But there was a random friend that I met through Facebook. And, oh, thank you, sir. Hey, Sunshine. Good to see you. 5540. I knew it. I could feel it. Like an hour was coming up. Oh, hey, I could probably just look at my phone. Hey, it's 5 o'clock. That's all I had to do. Anyway, so German version, pretty cool. Way better components. Oh, yeah, and the quality was like a lot nicer. Anyway, I had to take a picture of it. Oh, right. So I met this random friend through Facebook. Friend of a friend type of deal. Met this guy at a board game manufacturing facility in Lafayette. Their company makes, like, they manufacture the hard copies for Settlers of Catan, and it's a German company. So I got chatting with him, and we became Facebook friends. I got associated with one of his childhood friends, and they were nice enough to host me. So as a thank you for sheltering me, here's a board game. I hope you like it. So anyway, had to take a picture of that. So we went out to dinner later that night, and this was the entrance. So to get to this place, it was like inside of a hotel and down in a basement, and it was a super cool looking hallway. Had to get a picture of it. The door was cool. Restaurant itself, not great. I take that back. If you can picture like what you imagine like a European pub would be like, this was quintessentially that. Like if you've ever watched BBC shows or movies or something like that. Sunshine! Yeah, that's cool. Anyway, so the atmosphere was cool. Nobody spoke the language. So frustrating. I couldn't believe no one spoke English and accommodated me in my wants. I'm kidding, being facetious. But anyways, it was kind of tricky. Everything on the menu was onion based, which I hate, and pork. And my stomach cannot tolerate pork, so there's like nothing for me to eat. So I ordered some pumpkin soup. This is the pumpkin soup. It was the best thing I ate in Germany, and it ranked like probably like a 6 on the 10 scale. So it would have ranked, if I combined both the French and German foods together, it ranked above the Royale with cheese. But that was it. Whoa, hey, Ray's on here too. What's up, Ray? Anyway. Anyway, so it's not good. French food is great. German food, not great. It was not good. Oh yeah, and this big giant beer stein too. I had to get German beer, of course. And I ate this, and I don't remember what it was. It was very bland, so it looks very seasoned. And it's not. They basically just boiled a potato and chopped it up. It's like, here you go. No seasoning. And I'm pretty sure that's beef. I think that's like beef stew. That's what I ordered. I got potato soup and beef stew. This is their version of beef stew. You had to like manually mix it up. But there was like no seasoning on any of it. And they gave you like the one little cherry tomato too. It was very okay. So after we left, my host was like, hey, do you want to go to a German house party? It's like, I'm exhausted. I'm super wore out. I really want to just go pass out. I've been go all day. I didn't sleep last night. I'm never going to go to a German house party again, so let's go. So I went to this. You know what, Seth? I think you're right. I think it was lamb. I'm pretty sure it was actually lamb. Good call. Not beef. Pretty sure it was lamb. Anyway, so I went to this random German house party. The girl in the bottom left-hand corner, it was her birthday. So she had, in her apartment, it was basically, so this room, a little hallway that led to the bathroom where they had a beer pong table set up, and then the kitchen with the balcony. And it was super small, and she had like 50 people in here, and it was like super jam-packed. But anyway, met all these guys. They were super nice, super, super friendly, and everybody spoke English, which made me feel guilty because, like, I'm in your country. I should try to speak German to you, and I learned that my German is terrible. I don't know much, so they were nice enough to be, like, super conversational with me. And it was cool because, like, all the Germans wanted to hang out with the cool American guy, and I was, like, suddenly became center of attention. It was neat, but I was, like, the cool American dude. Hey! And of course we had to talk about guns because in Germany you can't really have guns. So some of them had visited America. It's like, oh yeah, I went to America and went to a gun range, ran a bunch of guns. So clearly that was like right up my alley. It's like, oh yeah, I can geek about guns for a while. So that's something I can firmly geek on for a while. Anyway, this was next to the beer pong table. I was of course having some German brew and I was getting absolutely tanked because the food was not, I didn't eat a whole lot. And German beer is super strong, and I was exhausted, so I was like, it's getting pretty tipsy. But anyway, oh yeah, here's the beer pong. That's the bathroom door, and I was trying to fit in with a bunch of German people, and I didn't speak the language. I did meet this one guy. He's from Hamburg, Germany, which is in northern Germany, and he was super loud. And apparently everybody in Hamburg is super loud. And he and I were talking and shouting over everyone because when I get excited, I am also super loud, especially if I'm drinking and all of those things are happening at the same time. I just shaved, took off the beard just today in order to, try to look more presentable or whatever on camera. I don't know how to look, so trying things out. Anyway, so he and I were talking to each other and people were like moving away from us. And then finally some people turned around and looked at us like, you guys are screaming. Can you please tone it down? And the guy was like, you're just being racist against people from Hamburg. And he's like, don't worry. It's like this North versus South thing. Like in America, apparently they have this like rivalry between the North and South. It's the exact same thing in Germany. Like Northerners hate Southerners, friendly hatred, and then vice versa. South hate the North. So anyway, got to learn that. That's kind of cool. Oh, this is him. So that was the guy from Hamburg. And he and I were having a pretty fun conversation. Anyway, so the next day, we went out to Augsburg and actually started walking around the city itself. And I'm actually at about the halfway point. Yes, Seth, I did shave for the stream. I said I was going to do a 1 hour stream and I could easily make this into a part 2. I could probably go on for another hour at this rate. Picking up in Augsburg would be a good spot. What do you guys think? Should I keep going? Should I do a 2 hour stream instead of 1 hour, or should I go ahead and just cut it off like I had originally planned? I could probably do another live stream on Monday. Yeah, Dwan. Yeah, Dwan, I like the shave. Okay, I'm on the fence. So I was thinking about doing, so the format is want to push for is do a 1 hour live stream every Thursday at 4, from 4 to 5. And then do another 1 hour live stream from 6 to 7 on Monday. So Monday 6 to 7, Thursday 4 to 5. The Monday I wanted to have a guest on, but I guess I could just do another solo stream on Monday. I look like a kid. I don't know, thinking out loud. I'll leave it up to you guys. You are the forerunners for the maiden voyage. You are the passengers on this journey. What do you guys want to do? Should I knock out another hour? Because I could easily go. I'm fine. I could easily go for another hour. I just don't want to take up too much of your time. And there's this big latency delay from when I talked to it goes on the stream. You guys hear it and can respond back. It's like 20 to 30 seconds. So I keep saying this over and over, but you're probably not even hearing it yet. I'll just do one more photo and then talk about it. Oh, crazy bit. So I've heard about this. Okay, so fun fact. In America, if you're caught walking across the street, they're like, oh, that's jaywalking. You can get a ticket for that. So when the automobile was first invented, there were people constantly walking in the middle of the street, you know, where the cars go. You're not supposed to do that. So there's this big campaign way back when. Oh, nice. Get you some Calc 2 knocked out. So then I'm just going to wrap it up. I'm going to wrap this up and then do a part 2 on Monday. It's decided, unless if other people jump in and give me other feedback. So anyway, so back when automobiles were first invented, America had this big push where it's like, don't walk in the street or you're a J. And J was like a huge insult. Like if you called somebody a J in like the 1800s, that was like mother effer or the F word or something like that. So anyway, huge, like deep insult to be called a J. So you didn't want to be a jaywalker. So not only could you be monetarily fined, but you'd also be like horribly slandered as a J. So in America, everybody's like, get off the streets. Yeah, I agree, Seth. So I'll keep it tidy at the 1 hour. So I'm going to conclude this random thought, and then I'll go from there. So anyway, in America, everybody's off the streets, everybody's on the sidewalk, nobody walks on the road. That is not the case in Europe. In Europe, everybody's everywhere. We just walk down the middle of the street, and there's like cars coming up behind us, and you'd think they'd be honking, but they don't care. They're like used to it. They're just like, oh, well, I'll just wait till they get up out of the way, and I'm looking back like there's a car like waiting on us. We should probably get out of the road, and like, oh, it's fine. So I like got out of the way and was like, yeah, we should probably get out of the way, let the car go by. And the car drove off and was like, no big deal. But anyway, yeah, it's super weird. So everybody just walks in the middle of the road in Europe. And I couldn't get over that. So super weird. I'll conclude on that note. So this is part 1. I'll do a part 2 stream Monday at 6. Hopefully I don't get that weird audio feedback loop thing. I'll try to see if I can get that figured out and get a proper thing to work for then. But anyway, really appreciate you being here. Hopefully you had a good time. I actually had a really good time. So this is really fun for me. My anxiety was through the roof. Trying to get onto this, like the lead up to this was horrible, and the audio went bad, and it's like so much worse. But I almost like made it better because like, oh my gosh, such a disaster. And then the bigger disaster hit. So all my fears came true, but worse. And then I got into it. Now I'm actually like, I'm pretty comfortable. So this is okay. This is fine. So anyway, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here, and take care. Hopefully I'll see you on Monday. So bye for now.